Hey, good morning.
Hi, Dan. Good morning.
How are you?
That was a weird voice. I'm good. uh, I'm good. Just, it's a little cloudy in Austin today in comparison to yesterday when it was like 80 and sunny.
I know. The
So,
Texas weather is always so up and down. You never know what you're going to get.
I know. I kind of wish we got one more weekend of fun snow just to be like, oh, all the things I didn't do the first weekend, I'll do this weekend again. But then I
Yeah.
want it to go away. I just want the 12 hours of snow.
Right, right. Well, there's a chance of it next week. So,
Seriously?
yeah, there's like a 40% chance. So we'll
Oh,
see.
okay.
So, not great, but hey, it's
No,
something.
not great at all. What were you up to this week?
This week was busy. I was counting the meetings. So, I had 35 meetings this week.
Whoa, bro, that's
Yeah,
so many. Good
I
job.
know. It was crazy, but it was good. It's like one of those weeks where it was super productive, but also you're like, okay, I need to take a breather. So, but it was good overall.
I love that. On Monday, I thought I had won the lottery. I didn't have a single meeting on Monday.
Wow.
And I was like, I didn't want to jinx it. So I literally like turned my status off on Slack and was like, put on my calendar, like work time. And I was like,
See?
but we're getting ready to do some change ups on the survey side. So I've got a little bit of work to do.
Nice. Yeah, that's a big initiative, but welcomed, obviously,
Yes.
Great. Well, hey, everybody that's joining, thanks for joining today. We have a great show lined up. I'm thrilled with our guests that we'll bring in a little bit. Bert Willard. So he actually started using QuestionPro in 2012, which I'm sure you'll know more. So I'll bring him in a little bit. Crystal, first, do we have any announcements? What's coming up next week? Do we need to push anything? Or I know we have Work at Life and the CX forums.
Yeah, let me look on my calendar. Okay, so Tuesday, we have Work at Life with Sonia and Maddie Grant from Propel. And last week they talked about burnout, which was really, really interesting. And then next week, I know they have something great planned. So always join in for a little takeaway. And then on Wednesdays, we have CX forums with Peterson, our head of CX. And then on to the 22nd, we have office hours again. And
Nice.
someone new in, yeah. And so we're starting this. I think we're going to try and do it monthly or bi-monthly, where your customers, survey customers, CX customers, if you think that you can stump our survey programmers, send us your question.
Yeah, bring it on. These guys are good too. So I know Kartik and Adrian are among the best out there. So bring it. We want to see if you can stump them.
Yeah, I'm excited because
I almost think we should offer a prize if someone can stump them, like a gift card or something.
I could do that. Yeah,
I'm sure you can swing it.
Down on that. It can't be a QuestionPro employee.
No, true. That's a caveat, but yeah.
Right. But last time we had 30 questions submitted ahead of time, just of people wondering how they could do different things. And if you've ever just sort of like, this is a weird thing I thought I might be able to do, bring it on, because Kartik was walking us through live solutions on this last one a couple weeks ago. And even I was like, oh my gosh, I never would have even thought about doing that.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's good to see. We know how to do anything in the platform, so it's good. It's awesome. And hey, you forgot one thing though. What's happening? What else is happening on Wednesday? What's the new craze?
Oh, Clubhouse.
Yes.
It's literally not on my calendar.
You got to add it to your calendar.
I know. Clubhouse, man. Come join us. I'm stoked. At what time did we decide? Noon?
Noon, yep. We'll run it for about an hour.
You and Tim come up with?
There's me, Tim, there's you, you're going to be on it. I know John Johnson's going to be there. I think probably some other folks as well. And if anybody needs an invite, I got 3. So.
Oh, I got 4.
Yeah. Well, hey, there's 7 invites here. And I know that I would love to invite people that want to come and join the show. So.
Yes. Clubhouse. If you're not on it, check it out. Or if you signed up for it and you're not using it, I've described it in a couple of different ways. One, like talk radio. And 2, I've been in a few industries over my years. And this really allows me to stay up to date on them.
It's true. It's true.
I'll go in there for a second.
It's almost, to me, it's like almost like an interactive podcast in a way, right? Where you can listen and then you can also come on stage. So if you don't know what we're talking about, check out Clubhouse. It's a new app. And it's invite only, so they keep it kind of closed like that, but it's super cool. So
And
we're going to
iPhone.
be, what's that?
iPhone only.
iPhone only, yeah, and invite only. So you have to get invited by someone. And then also we're going to have a room, probably from noon to 1. We'll see how long it goes, but that'll be the first one, and we'll do this a weekly show on there as well. So we're everywhere. Like I always say, like if you want content, we got it for you here. All right, Crystal, I have something for you as well here. So let me give you this example of what in the name of research. This is actually an example that you shared with me. So what I'm impressed about is you are taking this to heart and you're learning something from these examples. That's what I'm most impressed with. So go ahead and tell everyone what's wrong with this question or how it could be improved.
Man, so the reason I started working at QuestionPro literally was Eric, our COO. I was like, why should I work here? And he's like, because every time you don't take a survey, you're giving up your right to vote. And I was like,
Jeez, he makes it seem really, I mean.
I was like, oh my gosh. And so now when I get surveys in my inbox, especially for companies that I engage with or like, I try to make sure that I take them.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was from Disney, I think. And they were asking me about their Disney credit cards. And here it says, how many credit cards do you currently have? And how many have you used in the last 6 months? It's like, but I have, let's say 3, but I only use 1. So this doesn't give me an option. It's a 2-part question with only 1 answer box.
Yeah, I know. It could easily be two quick questions. How many credit cards do you have? How many have you used in the last 6 months? They'll get better data that way too. So
I tried to put a comma in there, and it was like kept like defaulting me back to like would enter a whole number. I tried like 4 different ways to try and answer it as a 2-part, and then they didn't let me.
Well, at least their validation was working. That's good.
Yeah. And then I answered something wrong later and it kicked me out before I got to like open text questions or anything. And I was like, oh.
Right.
Their target demographic.
So I think the moral is break it up into 2 questions. It makes things a lot easier here.
Yeah. And also I'm learning things from Dan.
Hey, there you go. I'm glad people are putting this into practice. This is awesome. Well, let's bring in the man of the hour here. So, Bert Willard, welcome to the show.
Hey there. Thanks for having me, Dan, Crystal.
Our pleasure. It's great to have you on. When I was thinking about guest to have on and I saw your name, I'm like, yes, Bert has to be on this show. He's the man. He's perfect for it. So,
oh, great. Well, I appreciate it. I'm humbled that you would think of me, but thank you so much for being here. I love QuestionPro. I love your products.
And you've been using it, I mean, since 2012, right? You're an early adopter here, Bert. You're an early adopter, you know.
We grew together. I remember when it was just a simple survey platform, and you guys grew through the ages and incorporated lots of great products and services, but service unparalleled.
Awesome. Well, that's excellent. That's great to hear. For those that don't know Bert, he's a vet of research. He's done everything from ad testing in different industries to construction industry most recently. But I would say he's a master at setting up market research programs. So, Bert, why don't you kind of give a little, maybe 30-second, rundown of who you are, what you're about, what you like, and then we'll dive into some additional questions.
Well, sure. I started in the industry in the early 90s, right after college, like most market research veterans, in the paper and pencil era, and watched the industry really transform both in the methodologies, but also digitally, and incorporate different tools to become more efficient. I've spent time as a field director, so my heart and soul lies in that realm, and sampling. And now I live in Virginia, and I do remote work for clients across the country and hopefully soon the globe, who want to set up new programs for their systems, for their stakeholders, be it shareholders, be it their customers themselves to see what kind of feedback they've given and how they fit into the whole wide variety of things going on.
Yeah, no, you've gotten your hands dirty in a number of different things. From
Sure.
whenever you say field director, I know you've gotten your hands dirty. So
oh yeah, you got a wet wipe. You got a wet wipe.
You do for sure. Bert, I know that you've been influential in getting these programs set up at companies very successfully. Can you tell, like, how would someone build from scratch a successful VoC or CX program at their organization, keeping in mind all of the different departments and tools out there and trying to combine everything into one? What are some practical tips, or how would you go about it or recommend that to people?
Well, the first step is to be your own market research data collector by doing IDIs with your stakeholders at the company that you work for. There's no substitute for gauging what would be the best value prop for that market research program that will provide good feedback to the leaders of a company that will allow them to see how they can use that feedback to shape the direction of that organization. And you also have to set up good programs that stimulate your customers to want to provide that feedback. If it's quantitative and not one-on-one and personal, you really need to have something that makes them want to provide that feedback. We get pummeled every day with requests for surveys, but the people who win in the marketplace when you're trying to collect data are the ones that do it in a specific way that isn't too overboard.
Right. No, that makes sense. And then definitely getting, I think, respondents to participate in these things is a big deal, right? And then that's one angle. What about getting internally at these large organizations, getting a collective around either which platform or how to run different things? Do you have any tips there that people can rely on?
Sure. When you make decisions about what platform that you're going to use, it's important that that platform is going to meet the potential demand. And you established that already because you know what type of research you're going to collect because you've already established what the value propositions are for your stakeholders. It could be everything from an executive board to the respondents themselves, looking at feedback. And how in terms of how you develop your products or services, that's so important.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. Kind of switching gears, but not a little bit, is what trends do you see as we come out of the pandemic? Are there new markets that might benefit from these VoC or doing additional research? What do you see from your vantage point?
Absolutely, and I think any market researcher that has been collecting data before the pandemic, during, and now as we're moving into the next phase of it, you've probably seen some changes in the way that if you have a tracking study, for example, the way that they're answering questions has been affected by the pandemic. So you have to take that into account when you're comparing data pre and post the pandemic. But 3 industries that are clearly new industries that are going to either grow here in the United States or in an emerging market, energy, the energy market, residential energy, and how people can use less energy, but also transfer that ownership. It's the difference between continually paying a climbing power bill to converting to solar, for example. Another is alternative healthcare. There's a new market for people who want to not have to go to the doctor, but get recommendations from their doctor and utilize different types of medicine. We all have heard about the changes in the cannabis market and what's happening there. Legislation is affecting that. How do people feel about that? So there's a lot of opportunity for the market researcher to do ad hoc and tracking research around that market. And lastly, the third one is niche markets in low-tech industries. For example, the construction industry. A lot of, I think Mark Cuban spoke to this one time on Shark Tank about the construction energy being low-tech. Well, that may be true now, but they're starting to wake up and see that, a baby boomer who's never had to use digital feedback as a mechanism, there's opportunities for them to grow as a company by utilizing such a mechanism. And I'm seeing a lot of that grow. I'm working with small to medium-sized businesses now who are converting their feedback mechanisms to more high-tech platforms such as QuestionPro.
Right. Yep. And we were talking earlier this week around kind of the small businesses and some of these emerging markets. I agree with you, like solar, alternative options for healthcare and visiting doctors and things. Like, I love some of the apps that are coming out now where you can just, you can visit a doctor without having to go to the office, which makes a ton of sense, obviously.
Oh yeah.
And everything. But there are a lot of opportunities around these emerging markets. And you mentioned to me in some of our conversations around small business and medium-sized businesses really being able to kind of take hold of some of these VoC programs. What are some of the reasons behind that you would say?
Well, I think that as they grow and people are spending more money around these, I think everything that I've mentioned thus far, those three are sustainability markets more than anything.
Yep.
They represent people noticing and becoming, at risk of using an overused term, woke on how we can live more cheaply,
right,
while at the same time trying to preserve our environment. In the wake of something that's a pandemic, at the same time, we're learning that the earth is also a little bit sick and we need to do some healing. And using less plastics, polyurethanes. There's a new product on the market that does, laundry detergent is coming in sheets now in minimal packaging instead of this giant jug, which is very heavy and mostly water.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, there's definitely a lot of room for product innovation, like you were saying. I mean, I think, and even probably the construction industry is a little bit of the same way, where they're used to doing things in a typical manner. And now with advent of technology and making it easier, they're opening their eyes to these different things, much like traditional laundry detergent and putting it into a sheet. Like, it makes sense across multiple industries to continue to advance, right?
Right. And it's not just about innovation. I think we're going to get to a point where it's going to be about survival. And that's where the market researcher is going to be the highest in demand. So when you're formulating a market research program, whether it be voice of customer tracking, other customer experience things, UX, all of those combined are important, and having a means to collect all that data, to have it sit in one place and in real time being able to display or visualize that, is a hot topic right now. We hear it all the time.
Yep. No, that's definitely true. And I know, but I'm not sure if you know this, but some of the things we're doing is we have this concept of an insights desk that we're going to be unveiling, where it's part of a project management tool and also an insights library where all of your research can go. Everything is tagged. All of those are quick nuggets, summaries, so you can view all these different things and bring all your research into one place, so you can search these things, right? I think too often everything is too siloed out, and you need to really democratize it and bring it all together. So that's actually what we're working on.
Yeah, and the ability to combine customer insights with other key performance indicators at your organization is really core. And that's probably a difficult part for a lot of larger organizations, but for smaller organizations, it's easier. And for someone like me, who's working remotely in a consulting freelance capacity, it's a lot easier and quicker for us to deliver that value when we're not dealing with that combination in large amounts of data, because they are smaller. So we have that advantage.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bert, I love the conversation. If people want to find out more about you, where can they do that?
They can go to bertwillard.com.
Okay.
They can also reach out to me on LinkedIn as well, and all my contact information is there. I'd love to talk to anybody who wants to discuss any of those markets further.
That's great. Awesome. Hey, Bert, thanks so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Crystal.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Yeah, have a great day, y'all.
All right, you too. Thanks, Bert.
All right.
Catch up soon.
See ya.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. You're bringing Bert in, huh? I like it.
Perfect.
There we go. You got his website going there. So if you want to find out more from Bert, definitely he's on LinkedIn. And like he said, bertwillard.com and so forth. So really interesting guy. If you're looking to set up programs or want consulting, he's definitely the the main guy for that kind of stuff. Really have enjoyed working with him throughout the years here. So
2012, I was like, what was I doing in 2012? E-commerce.
E-commerce, yeah. See, there you go. There you go. Let's do one more quick segment here on some data points. So let me share this.
Bring them on, Dan. Bring them on.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
It's interesting. So Tim put this together. He sent this out last night. So Tim's our director of audience. He used our panel, My Opinions, to run this research through. So this is around, in Colorado, a program was launched where healthcare professionals essentially replaced police officers on nonviolent calls. And in the first 6 months, no one they encountered was arrested. So we wanted to find out more about this. Was it a good use of resources? Those breaking the law should be penalized and so forth. So it looks like here, in terms of, is it a good use of police resources? Neutral. So people were kind of either strongly agree, or kind of neutral around it. So they were kind of in the middle there around whether this was something that they agreed with from a good use of police resources.
Those are much more dispersed than I thought they would be.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like most people, neutral is kind of like, yeah, I don't care either way, but there's a lot more that agree than, kind of disagree or strongly disagree. So that's interesting.
On a scale of what's the difference between agree and strongly agree? Like, is it just like a variant of like 7 to 8 and 9 to 10? Like, it's
a 4 or 5, I guess.
Okay, I was like, I don't understand the difference.
On a 5-point scale, that's what it is. So
strongly agree, is it not also agreeing? It's just a different segment.
Like, how much do you care about it? Do you like strongly care or just care?
Okay.
I guess another way.
All right. I'm asking too many questions about our questions.
Yeah, let's just get through this, okay? No. You can ask those in the segment. What are the name is research? Data points is just for data points, okay?
Sorry, emerging decisions.
Those breaking the law be legally penalized regardless of mental capacity. So people said regardless, 33% agree, 33% also strongly agree. So should be penalized regardless of mental capacity. Pretty interesting here.
Yeah.
I thought some of these results. If a nonviolent crime is committed by a person who is mentally ill, they should go to jail. People were kind of neutral, but then disagreed with it. So kind of interesting, the dichotomy there. And then if a person committed a crime who was mentally ill, should they go to a medical treatment facility? People say agree, strongly disagree. So again, these are all in regard to the Colorado sending healthcare was it healthcare workers, or
they have a specific name? I saw it on the news.
Healthcare professionals, I guess, but some specific name rather than police. So kind of doing some different things there.
So it's also doing it. And there were a few other cities that were implementing to it. I saw a segment, I think, on ABC.
Oh, interesting. Huh. Yeah, see, I hadn't heard a lot about this. So when I saw these results, this is kind of all new to me. So it's interesting to see these in real time. And then those with some substance abuse should always go to a rehabilitation facility rather than jail. People agreed with that. So kind of interesting around that and some of the different initiatives different states are taking. Now, I guess into the Super Bowl. So the Super Bowl is on Sunday, so drastically switching gears here. So which team will win the Super Bowl? The Chiefs, 65%, Tampa Bay, 35%. So,
I grew up 20 minutes from Kansas City, so I should have an opinion on this.
You should.
I don't.
Oh, okay.
Other than I'm on team anti Tom Brady. So
yeah, that's I was talking with a prospect yesterday, and she said, "Well, what team is Tom Brady not on? That's what I'm going to root for." So, consensus, and that's actually a question that's going to come up here, Crystal, too. So,
you got to tip your hat to him, though. At his, he's like 40, and he's like in amazing shape, still playing. Him and who was the Colts, the famous Peyton Manning, who's like doing the, commercials now. Like,
I know. I mean, I definitely give it to him. I think he's 42 or 43 and then still doing this. So this will be, I think, his 10th Super Bowl that he's in, won 6 of them. So pretty interesting. So, but people want to see the Chiefs win. I think no surprise there. And then so Tom Brady, some different questions here.
I love that.
Best quarterback ever. I want him to win. I would bet on him winning. I'm pretty dispersed here. So I think arguably the best quarterback ever.
What is this triangle question?
That was like a spider chart that we have. So if the results are more varied, then you'll see these kind of go into these different quadrants here or different corners.
Interesting.
But all of these are pretty much around the same sort of average.
Yeah.
This one I thought actually was interesting. How many people will you be watching the Super Bowl with? So
not your
0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, not a lot of high numbers here. So I think with the pandemic, people are still kind of keeping it in small numbers, which is good to see.
Gotcha. I think
so, interesting. People are playing it safe, I guess, here.
Yeah.
And then, should former President Trump have been pardoned?
That's a whole other turn.
Now we're going in different directions here. It's wide ranging. Okay. Should he have pardoned the Capitol Hill rioters? Most people said no. 83% said no, but 17% said yes. So there's some people out there. And then the final question here: should former President Trump have pardoned Joe Exotic from the Tiger King? Now I know you've seen the Tiger King, so
I have a confession.
What?
I never watched it.
You probably saved like 6-7 hours of your life, so that's good. But
I definitely made conversation about it as this is what we're doing as part of a team. This is what everyone's talking about. But yeah, I never actually watched it.
Yeah. I think it was the number one or one of the number one Halloween costumes last year. So.
Oh.
But people said no, and rightfully so. But the Tiger King is binge-worthy Netflix series if you want that guilty pleasure.
Have you watched Bridgerton, Dan?
What?
Did you watch Bridgerton?
I watched the first 20 minutes of the first episode. And I'm like, nah, not for me.
Okay. Did you watch Queen's Gambit? Now we're hitting all these years.
Queen's Gambit. I did watch that. I thought that was fantastic. I really liked that.
But yeah, I watched all of Bridgerton the night it came out. So we have our priorities.
Have you watched The Flight Attendant on HBO Max?
I did. I watched it as it came out because I'm a huge cacao fan.
Yeah, that was a good series too.
She actually bought the rights to that, and her production house was the.
Wow. They did a good job. It was really good.
That was so good.
Yeah. So there's also some show recommendations for that as well. So I think this weekend I want to watch. There's one more, My Octopus Teacher. I want to watch that on Netflix, a documentary.
My Octopus Teacher? Is that what you said?
Yeah, check it out. It's a documentary. Highly recommended to me.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think with that, we'll end it with those recommendations. So next week we'll be back on Live with Dan. Have another great guest lined up. I won't unveil who that is quite yet, but check on that next week. And then a Clubhouse on Wednesday at noon. We'll be featuring me along with some of my other QuestionPro compadres. So we'll be all on there and looking forward to that. With that, have a good week, everybody. Any final things, Crystal?
Oh, I was going to say, I'll post a link to the Clubhouse invite on LinkedIn this week. So you can.
Sounds great. All right. See you, everyone. Take care.